So if you haven't already watched the Denshi video on why this is the case, despite Scott Cawthon saying otherwise, here's the rundown. Henry Emily represents God the Father and his daughter Charlotte represents Christ the Son. It isn't a pure one-to-one parallel, but note these are simply representations. Henry Emily created all the original animatronics just as God created all things in Genesis, and joining him was William Afton, who also created animatronics. But the thing with Afton is that while Henry created animatronics for joy and to entertain children, Afton twisted the good by creating animatronics to use for murdering and capturing children. Hence why Afton represents the Antichrist, as he twisted what was originally good. Coming back to Charlie, we see in the security puppet minigame that she's stuck outside while all the other children stop the security puppet from saving her. For the transgressions of the other children, for the sins of the other children, Charlie dies as a sacrifice as a result of their sin. Now, it doesn't match penal substitutionary atonement, since it's Afton's wrath being put on Charlie instead of Henry's wrath. And I know the security puppet also sacrifices its body to save Charlie, but bear with me since it's the theme of sacrifice which remains constant. Because of Charlie's sacrifice, she's able to provide salvation to the souls of the victims of William Afton. She's able to give life and save them by giving the victims new bodies, just like Jesus has given us life and saved us, and not to mention we get new bodies when we reach heaven. I should also mention Michael, as he also represents us as non-believers. We used to be slaves to sin and Satan used to influence us, but now that we have repented and received salvation, we are able to do good things because of God's grace. Again, not a pure one-to-one representation, but after Michael Afton sees the sins of his father, and if we're following the current game theory timeline, Michael goes to all of the pizzeria locations and burns them down to atone for his father's sins. Michael also tries to burn down the FNAF 3 location, but he can't destroy his father by his own power. He can't beat the power of sin on his own. Just like us, we need the grace and power of God to overcome our sin, and it's in this that Michael can finally destroy the Antichrist in the FNAF Pizzeria Simulator fire with the help of Henry Emily. This is the image we see in the book of Revelation, where there's a final war between God and Satan, and in the end, the Antichrist is sent into the pit of fire, just as William Afton burns in the pit of fire and suffers in hell, as we see in Ultimate Custom Night. But that's just the games. What about the movie? The movie that I've finally watched, and despite the critic reviews which sit at 26% right now, I actually thought it wasn't that bad. Spoilers ahead, by the way, if you haven't already watched the movie. I love the references like the Dream Theory book, I Always Come Back, Mike Schmidt, the Springlock animatronics, the way Afton died like he did in FNAF 3. MatPat also showed up despite him claiming he wasn't invited. So plenty to like about this movie if you're already a fan of the games, but certainly not for those uninitiated in the franchise. Though overall, yes, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie does have Christian themes. We see an emasculated man in Mike who can't let go of the kidnapping of his brother a couple of years prior, and this significantly affects the way he works and how he takes care of his sister. He's chasing after dreams and ends up trying to bargain with the ghost children, and in this, he is even tempted to trade away his own sister so that he gets to experience this fleeting memory of family in the past. Though he realizes that the past should be left to the past and focus on and be grateful for what he has now, that being Abby. It is in this that Mike rejects the temptation and decides to focus on Abby, and it's a brilliant way in which he finally gets to act as the masculine father figure he should. Now, the story isn't the finest, but I do appreciate this movie as a gift to the Five Nights at Freddy's fanbase. Kind of targeted towards kids considering its PG rating, and has a positive message in young men actually toughening up. This, of course, isn't the usual content I make, so if you are interested in some actual Christian anime, I recently did a video on The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses.